So what did you end up getting her for her birthday? I sent her a perfume with a nice scent from the 99-cent store. I think this gift made perfect sense for her. Okay, so today you're going to learn the most common homonyms, homophones, and homographs in the English language. But first, let's quickly define each one. Homonyms are words that are spelt or pronounced the same way, but have different meanings, such as fair and fair. Homophones are similar to homonyms, but the main difference with homophones is that they are spelt differently, such as scent and scent. I sent her a perfume with a nice scent from the 99-cent store. I think this gift made perfect sense for her. Homographs are words that are spelt the same but have different meanings, and in some cases they can also be pronounced differently, such as bass and bass. And before we jump in, if you're looking for a way to accelerate the time that it takes you to learn the English language, I highly recommend subscribing to this YouTube channel, as we'll literally be posting new lessons every single day. Now let's start with homonyms. The first homonym that we're going to look at is fair. The term fair is most commonly used as an adjective to describe something that is reasonable or just. For example, the English exam yesterday was pretty fair.
Personally, I think we negotiated a pretty fair deal.
Now, a fair is referring to a festival. So for example, let's go to the fair.
I'm gonna go to the fair on Saturday.
I'm gonna do it.
A fair bit simply means a significant amount of something. So for instance, I did a fair bit of traveling last year.
He was a fair bit older than me.
Fair can also be used to describe someone with a light complexion of some sort. So for example, people from the Nordic countries tend to have fair skin and fair hair.
You got that fair skin.
Finally, the word fair can refer to someone or something that exhibits something good. This particular definition is far more rare and formal, but it still doesn't hurt to know. For example, he believed that his daughter was the fairest of them all. Another example could be, what a fair summer day it is today.
Still the fairest of them all.
The next homonym we'll look at is bat. Okay, so first off, a bat is often referring to an object that is used for a number of different sports. For example, he got angry and broke his bat during his baseball game.
The guy take my baseball bat.
Bats are also animals that reside in certain regions in the world. For example, she saw a bat in the attic of her house.
The bats again.
To bat can also be used as a verb, mainly in two different ways. First of all, to bat is referring to an action in sports that use bats, such as baseball and cricket. For instance, he's currently sitting on the bench, but he'll be batting soon.
Batting practice tomorrow.
And secondly, batting also refers to fluttering your eyes. For instance, she wouldn't even bat an eye at him after what he said to her last night.
You didn't bat an eye.
Another common homonym that we'll look at is the term lie. Now first, to lie is a common verb that simply means to lay something or someone on a surface. For example, I'm going to lie down soon. I'm feeling pretty tired.
I need to lie down for a bit.
Another common meaning of the verb to lie is to say something that simply is not true. For instance, he is no longer trustworthy as he has told too many lies in the past.
But I never taught you to lie.
Now let's take a look at some homophones. The first homophone we'll look at is there, and there. The word there is mainly used in two different ways. First of all, it's used to refer to a location. For example, my water bottle is over there. May you please bring it to me.
Hurry! Now over there.
There is also commonly used to add emphasis to what you say. For example, there, you see? We were wrong the entire time. Another example could be, and there you have it. I told you so.
Well, okay, there you go.
So simply put, there refers to someone or something that is associated with one or more people. So let me elaborate. A good example could be, good parents care about their children. Another example could be, I think that you took their bag by accident.
Their mother had just died.
And finally, there is just another way of saying they are. So for example, they're going out for dinner tonight.
They're gonna come in here, they're gonna find us.
Next, let's look at the homophone to, and to. Okay, so to is one of the most common prepositions in the entire English language. In most cases, it's referring to motion in a particular direction, figuratively or literally. For example, we should go to the park. It's nice outside. Another example could be she tried to discreetly send him a message.
If you shoot without thinking, you go to prison, I get paid.
The word to typically means a couple of things. It's another way of saying also, and it's also used to emphasize something that is excessive. For example, are you tired? Me too. Another example could be that burrito was way too spicy.
Beautiful day.
I suppose so. Too hot for me.
Now, two is simply referring to the number two. For instance, sometimes it takes two to make a thing go right.
I do believe those first 2 years were the worst for him.
Now, if you've learned anything new so far, you can support the channel simply by liking the video. It would mean the absolute world to us, as we'd like to keep working hard to put out new lessons every single day so that you can learn English much faster. Let's look at the homophone peek, peek, and peek. To peek is a common verb that simply means to quickly look at something. For example, he peeked over his shoulder to see if he was being followed.
I heard when I peeked around the door.
Now, a peak is referring to the top of something, literally or figuratively. For example, it'll take a while to hike up to the peak of the mountain. Another example could be the athlete is past his peak due to his age.
If he doesn't hurry up, I'm gonna pass my peak.
And finally, in most cases, to peak is a verb used to describe someone's interest in something. For instance, when I entered the room, my outfit piqued her interest.
Of course, your hysteria piqued my interest.
Now let's take a look at some common homographs. Let's start with desert and dessert. A desert is referring to a dry area of land that is typically covered in sand. For example, last year we visited the Sahara Desert.
So I'm contented here in the desert, and I'm living where I want to live.
The verb to desert simply means to abandon someone or something. For example, they deserted her on the islands because they didn't have any more room in their boat.
Your Lordship, please don't you desert us.
Next up, let's look at minute and minute. The word minute is simply referring to a measurement of time. For example, it only took me 5 minutes to get there.
I generally come in at least 15 minutes late.
On the other hand, minute is referring to something that is extremely small. For example, her verse in the song only accounted for a minute fraction of the entire album.
I suppose there could be a minute quantity of petroleum left.
Next, let's look at object and object. In most cases, an object is a material that can be seen or touched. For instance, there are many objects in this room right now.
Just pick up any 3 objects.
It was stated that this object was a crucifix.
To object simply means to speak up. For example, she objected to the price that he proposed to her for the house.
I object. I think Mrs. Lawson is breaking the understanding.
I object to being characterized as a member of this group.
Now for this next one, the difference in pronunciation is very slight, so pay close attention.
Listen carefully and my words will shape images as clear as any TV show.
Produce and produce. Now the verb to produce usually means to make something. In some cases, it can also mean to show the results of something. So for example, the artist produced a lot of music this year. Another example could be, let's see the results that you produced this year.
And then we will produce evidence that there were bloodstains on the defendant's clothing.
We would not want to produce a television show celebrating historically deviational terrorism.
Now in simple terms, produce is referring to food. For example, you can find some bananas in the produce section of the grocery store.
Could you please approach the produce section, boys?
I'm in the produce section.
Yeah, there's 2 gay dudes in 1 pair of shorts perusing the produce section. Asparagus.
So believe it or not, there are actually even more different meanings for all of the words that we covered in this video. But by and large, we covered most of the common meanings. So now you should be familiar with all the common homonyms, homophones, and homographs that were mentioned in this video. Now I'm curious, do you think you're capable of forming a sentence using a set of homonyms, homophones, or homographs? Leave a comment down below if you think you have what it takes. If you need any help with your English, simply refer to the link in the pinned comment below. And if you'd like another free English lesson, simply watch the next video on the screen.